Hey guys, Man 945 here. Welcome back to another video. Excuse the noises. I'm still with a cold, but hey, mans want to make Jojos content, so mans will make Jojos content. And um, what we're doing today is Jojo's character tier list. So this list has got like 100 of the characters, and it seems to be like a lot of the major stand users and stuff like that. So yeah, for the tiers, we got the Joe Goats. We got great, solid, mid, and bum. And then we have I don't remember because I think there'll be probably some of these that I don't know. I don't remember at least. Okay, starting with Joseph Joestar. I want to put Joseph in the Joe Goats tier. Joseph is tied with one I can't remember if I mentioned this in my initial video, so it might be like retreading points repetitively accidentally. Um but Joseph is tied with one other JoJo for being my favorite. Um, I love all of his charm and personality, and he is also the best member of the group in part three as well. Um, with his Hermit Purple stand having a ton of clutch moments. He also has fun moments in part four for the limited amount that he's in it, and the plot twist that he was actually Josuke's father was just crazy. And it means that this guy has just got crazy aura. I love Joseph. Um, Jonathan is mid. Uh, I, I'm sorry. Jonathan is just not like of all the things that were entertaining about part one, Jonathan wasn't really one of them. He was just a incredibly basic character um who did not really do that much to me. I think he's probably the worst JoJo. Uh but he's not like a bad character though. Actually no, wow, no, he's not the worst character because Jotaro exists. Jotaro straight up is a fucking bum. Um so I mean the thing about Jotaro is like he's perfectly serviceable in part three. He is incredibly basic. Um, he does not have very much character depth to him, and but he does have cool aura forming moments. But then we get to part four, and he is just useless like the entire time. Any intelligence that he had in part three is just immediately gone because he seems to have like half a brain cell when dealing with any of the other stand users. He doesn't even do that much to help find Kira. And like during the final battle with Kira, it is Josuke that puts in literally all the fucking work and has just been punching the crap out of him and just like nearly bleeding to death while Jotaro is just standing on some other street just checking his watch. Like, and then we get to part six, and this is where, like, the most evidence of him being a bum comes in. So, even if he was a dumbass in part four, at least he actually kind of fought a little bit. This is not even the case in part six because, like, as soon as he shows up within the next episode, he is immediately nuked, and like, he, by like a pretty darn weak stand as far as the ones in part six are concerned. And, and just like I I don't he's like he just does nothing. He gets nuked in the early part by a pretty weak stand, and then he's literally just lying on a hospital bed the entire fucking time while Jolene does everything to stop Poochie. And then when he comes back, he like tries to use Star Platinum a few times, and he manages to get like maybe one or two good punches on Poochie, but he always mistimes the uses and he doesn't end up doing anything. Along with he's Jotaro's fucking deadbeat dad. This guy Jotaro sucks. He is a bad character, easily the worst of the Joe stars, and I don't know. We're gonna see, but like right now, I'm thinking that he's probably the worst character in all of JoJo's, realistically. Now, a character in part four that actually did a lot is Josuke. Josuke is an awesome protagonist. I love his energy. I love his just vibe. I love his whole thing about the hair and that story and his sort of backstory about the identical person that looked like him that saved his life when he was a kid. I think that's cool. I love that Inuit that makes fun of his hair, gets beat up. Um, uh, okay, sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. I might do that several times during this video. Yeah, Josuke. I also love his stand. I think his stand is really cool. I'm gonna do a video ranking all the stands as well, but I think his stand is really cool. Um, I also love this sort of character dichotomy that he has to overcome with like this weird feeling of like not knowing who his father is and then finding out that it's old man as Joseph. uh I really liked this sort of like subtle character bit that went on there. And Josuke is also just an absolute badass. He's fantastic. Um Giorno is my other favorite Joe star, um a tie with Joseph. Again, I can't remember if I mentioned that in the other video, but that I recorded last night about part six, but um, Giorno wasn't really my favorite at first, but like I just love all of his interactions with uh with um with the other with his like group that he travels with. I really like his relationship with all of them, and I like how gentle his personality is, I guess. And how like it sort of softly blends in with um the how it sort of blends in with the more, I guess, vibrant personalities in the group of part five. Um, and his conclusion, like the final fight with Diavolo was amazing. Yeah, he's just awesome to me. It's kind of hard to explain. It's more like vibes based. I think I just love the vibes of Giorno. I guess it's hard to explain why I like Giorno so much, but I love him. Jolene, I am also going to put in A tier. I really like her as a protagonist. I really like the dichotomy that she has with uh like the dichotomy in her character between needing to rely on a parental figure and also like learning how to be mature and stand up for herself, especially. And I think the sort of rough prison setting of part six complements that very, very well. And yeah, I really, really like Jolene. I think that she's a great example of like hard work because her stand is not really the most powerful one, but she kind of really makes it work, and I quite like that. Um, okay, Speedwagon. Speedwagon is hard because like he obviously has a huge impact on the show with the whole Speedwagon Foundation thing, but like the character himself is not particularly interesting to me. Like he doesn't use Hamon from my memory, and he's not even really in the show for that long. So I don't know like quite where to rank him because uh I don't know. For me like Speedwagon is kind of mid, like just not a particularly interesting character despite the fact that he does have a big impact on the show. Zappelli is kind of the same. Like, just a lot of the characters besides Dio himself in part one are just not particularly interesting. Um, Speaking of Dio himself, I'm gonna put Dio at a solid A tier because I think that he's one of the most iconic anime villains for a very good reason to me because like just his pure hating and evil energy and just pure antagonism are on a level that few other anime villains are able to reach, and it just makes him a very entertaining character to watch, both in part one and part three, and seeing how crucial he is to the entirety of the plot, with him being referenced in some way, or his legacy being left behind uh across four, five, and six, even after he gets defeated in part three. Um, I mean, Jonathan's girlfriend, meh. Uh, same thing with uh Jonathan and Dio's Marlon Brando. Like either of these two are really interesting. I don't remember who this dog is. Just being straight up. The little kid is not particularly memorable. I'm gonna put him in mid. Caesar Zappelli is actually quite a fun character. I really like him and Joseph as a duo. They have a lot of great energy, and his death was actually quite tragic. Um, uh, I don't remember who any of them are. Lisa is also a very solid character. The plot twist that she was actually Joseph's mom is crazy. I did not see that coming at all. But it worked really well, and I liked how she acted as a mentor figure to both Joseph and Caesar. Um, I thought that dynamic worked really well. Uh, what are the names of the three pin? The three. I know. Tars, Wamu, Desi, Desi. Okay, that's it. Okay. Uh, so the long-haired guy is Tars. Uh, I'm gonna put them all in solid to be. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna move the other two down to mid. I'm only putting Cars in solid because his fight with Dio was really entertaining. Or not Dio. Joseph. The final fight between him and Joseph is ridiculously entertaining, and I think that near the end he starts to get a lot more of that like JoJo's villain flair and personality. Whereas he doesn't have as much of that in the rest of it beforehand. But I like that leading up to that. And yeah, I think he's a fun antagonist, but the Pillar Men overall are um probably the least interesting antagonists in JoJo's. Actually, easily the least interesting antagonist in JoJo's. Uh, okay, moving on to the part three characters. Pak Yoin and Avdol are solid characters. I like the dynamic that both of them bring to the group. And they're just fun. They're just fun guys who have cool stands for the fact that part three was the first one to introduce stands and before they had gotten really creative. Uh Polnareff I'm putting up in great because I think that he's a fun character in part three. But what really elevates Polnareff for me is his inclusion in part five and the fact that he was the mysterious caller. I definitely didn't see that coming. And his like past with Diavolo was actually really interesting. Um, and his inclusion in that part is something that was just a special inclusion for me. Uh, Iggy, I'm sorry, I think Iggy's kind of mid. Um, because like he's not a part of the cast for particularly long. Like if he was part of it for longer, then I think I might hold a more positive opinion. But he's just not in the story long enough for me to have formed a proper emotional attachment to him. Uh, is this the crazy grandma lady that had the stand arrow? Eh, mid. I don't remember who that is. Whole Horse is a hilarious character. By far one of the best opponents that Jotaro's group fights in part three because he is just a extremely ridiculous and entertaining character. Uh, in a sea of quite forgettable opponents in part four to me. Uh, I don't remember who that is. I think these two are like the two brothers with the stand about the comic book, maybe? I'm gonna put both of them in B tier purely because the way that they ended up getting defeated was utterly hilarious. Uh, her stand was kind of boring, mid. The baby from part four, neither of these baby characters were particularly interesting. I don't remember who any of them are. Uh, the little girl, you know what? I'm gonna say bummed here for her because like I don't really understand what her point in the story was beyond pimping for Jotaro like crazy. Uh, because I don't even remember where they pick her up in part three, but she like travels with them for a little while, and all that time she's nothing but a nuisance to the group because of the fact that she's a constant defenseless target for the enemy stand users that they're fighting. Uh, okay, we're getting more into part four characters now. Um, Okuyasu is a great character. Okuyasu is utterly hilarious. I think he's got a really cool stand, and he's a very good friend to Josuke. This alien dude is also great because, of course, there's a fucking alien in JoJo's. That was my first thought when I saw that episode for the first time, and it's just amazing. This guy's personality and just lack and just like complete dead miss is just hilarious. Uh, Oh, I don't remember her name, but the girl that controls spirits in part four. She's a solid character, I would say. She has quite a compelling story in terms of like being connected to Morio and Kira, and I quite like that. I is this the mission? Maybe I don't remember who I don't remember who that is. Oh man. Okay. All right. So I might have mentioned it in the part four video. I don't remember. My goat Kishibe Rohan is the greatest JoJo's character of all time, and it's not even well, it's not that close. Uh, there are two characters from part six which we'll get to when we get to that. But like Kishibe Rohan is just the fucking goat. I love the idea. that he is a mangaka and the fact that he's essentially Araki's self-insert character. I think that's hilarious. I love everything about his personality. I love like how he goes from enemy to friend and how well he gets along with all the other cast members of Part 4. Um and he also just has hands down the coolest stand in the entire series. Heaven's Door, spoiler for when I rank the stands. Heaven's Door is my favorite stand, and it's not even close. Kishibe Rohan is the fucking goat and the best JoJo's character. Um, and I don't think my opinion will ever change on that. Uh, Okay, I don't know what the difference between these two are. They both look like Koichi, so I'm just going to rank this version because it looks like the more familiar version of Koichi. Koichi is a great character. Um, I think across any of the parts, Koichi has some of the best development in terms of like being able to learn how to use his stand due to the fact that like Echoes is like it like evolves across their different stages and seeing him like utilize all those different aspects is really cool. And I think that his character works super well for that. Uh okay, we have the little boy here. Uh who is Kira's done in part 4, or or like it is of the body that he ends up inhabiting to hide. Um, his character is introduced pretty late, but it's actually pretty compelling to me. I'm actually gonna move both these up to great now that I think about it. Because like a lot of that story is focused on him and his like struggles to get out of Bites the Dust and the time loop. And it's just a really compelling like bit for JoJo's. And speaking of the big man Kira, absolutely S tier character. He was my favorite JoJo's villain, and he's still my second favorite behind Poochie. Uh, uh, like I love how well him as a villain fits the vibe of Wario and he is just another yet another part of the fantastic world building that is done it for such a small town in part 4. And you know, he doesn't have particularly complex motivations. He's just a serial killer, but like the every time he's on screen and his fights and like the way that he managed to stay hidden is just ridiculously entertaining. Also, his theme is just ridiculously catchy because like it is great. Uh, um, I don't have particularly strong feelings on the cat plant thing. Uh, I can't tell if this is. I think this was Kira's wife. She was fine. Yukako was okay. That's not it's not a crazy amount of character depth. Same thing with Josuke's mom. Shigechi had a very just tragic character death, which honestly, like, really showed how much of a threat Hero was. And for that he moves up a tier from where he would probably be if that didn't happen. I don't remember his name, but he is a very funny character that's got a great stand. Uh, same thing with him. I don't remember his name either, but oh, Tonio, dude, Tonio is amazing. Tonio is so fun. He's just in a one-off episode when Josuke and Okuyasu go to a pizza restaurant, and he just uses his stand for cooking, and it's great. Uh, in fact, actually, I'm gonna move Tonio up here, because he's just a great character. Um, Oh yeah, here we go. Now we're getting into the peak of the characters with all the part five characters. Abakio is amazing. His stand is so cool. I love his backstory of like being this sort of cop that needs redemption for a mistake that he made on the job. I thought that part of his character was really interesting, and his death was incredibly tragic. Like, my goodness. Um, and then Bucciarati has like possibly the best backstory of the part five characters who all have great backstories, if I'm being honest. Um, I think that I with all of these characters in part five, a big reason also why I love them, same thing that I talked about with Giorno, I just love their every interaction with all of the characters in part five. Like all the group's interactions with each other are just fantastic. And Bucciarati is this amazing just leader character that just works so well. And his death is also just insanely tragic. uh Remember if Naranja dies. Yes, he does die. I remember now. I remember now. Narancia is also amazing. I really loved his backstory. I loved his interactions with the other characters. His stand was also amazing. He's just a fan. He's just an amazing character. Uh, why why am I forgetting his name? Why am I forgetting his name? But dude, he was my favorite of the group, basically. Oh my god, I'm kind of. Um, what is his name, dude? Guido! Oh my god. Or Mista, I guess. Uh, Mista was my personal favorite besides Giorno out of the main group. Uh, I liked him just a little bit more than Bucciarati, just because I loved his like general personality, and he felt like he was the one besides Giorno and like along with Beardo and and Bucciarati and Giorno. God, I can't talk. That really put in the most work against the enemy stand users, and I really like that. Um, so is uh Trish is another very good character to me. Her being Diavolo's daughter just gives her quite a lot of depth. And I also just really like I just really like her um mellower personality, and it's close between her and Jolene, but I think Trish might be my favorite female JoJo's character. Um, because like she fits that group dynamic excellently, and the way that the group all comes to kind of also see Trish as a part of their little family is just amazing. Okay. We reached the one guy in part five that I don't like, and that's purely because he was literally the only fucking character that did not go along with everyone else in going against Diavolo. Literally the only character, and there is nothing else done with him. Like, he was a decent character beforehand, like all the other ones, but he only uses his stand one time because it's so ridiculously broken. Uh, and I do think he has a cool stand, but like he's just it's such a worthless character that he ends up doing nothing. Okay, so Diavolo himself, I think, is a good villain, but he's not as good. He's definitely better than the Pillar Man. That's an easy thing to say. Uh, but he's not as good as Dio. And he's definitely not as good as Kirabuchi. I think that Diavolo is a compelling, like, antagonistic threat, and he aura farms like crazy, like all JoJo's villains do. His stand is really cool. Emperor Crimson is a super cool stand. Um, okay, sorry for the pause again. I had to blow my nose. It was particularly bad that time. I think I finished talking about Diavolo. Now, in my opinion, like, um, the entire reason that Diavolo is really compelling as a villain is because of Doppio, his split personality character. I really really like the dichotomy between them and how they sort of influence each other, with obviously Diavolo being the much more major influence on Doppio, but also the very subtle ways that Doppio also influences Diavolo. That dynamic is really, really interesting, and I think that Doppio is just straight up a much more interesting character than Diavolo himself is. Uh, I don't remember who either of them are. That turtle is fine, I guess. Uh, is this the ice guy? I think he's fine. Holpot, Holpo, I think his name is fine. I don't remember who that is. This guy is pretty darn cool for the leader of the little crater organization that he leads. And his stand is one of my favorite stands too. I can't remember who that is. Oh boy, Keshi. Keshi is like the most hilarious JoJo's character design ever. He's a hilarious character, and um his mother here, I'm pretty sure it is, has a very interesting stand, and I like their relationship actually. So I don't remember who that is. I don't really remember much about any of those guys. Hermes is a very solid character to me. I quite like her. I quite like her energy and how well it matches with Jolene. Okay. Anastasia, I can't even lie, is kind of mid. Uh, because his character has a lot of clutch moments, but 80% of his character is just Jolene simping, and it often undercuts the emotional tension of a moment, such as like a lot of moments after the death of a weather report, for example. Uh, I mean, he's fine. But yeah. Well, weather report. Oh boy. Okay. Weather report. And I'm just gonna throw these guys up here. Kikime Rohan is number one, but Weather Report and Pookie are easily numbers two and three for my favorite characters in the entire series. Um, the twist that they were brothers is absolutely insane, and the absolutely just fucked up backstory that both of them have, and all their experiences, and the kind of truth behind Weather Report's memories and his insanely broken stand ability is just absolutely insane. And then, as I explained in the part six video that I recorded last time, like Poochie is just such a goated villain on every level, and I don't really know if whether him or um whether I like him or Poochie better. It's so extremely close between them. Um, but yeah, easily S tier for both of them. And by far the best member of the main trio in part six is Foo Fighters. FF is such a clutch character that has so many clutch moments. And, I love characters that are initially enemies that become allies, like Kakyoin and Holoref, for example. Um, but FF is another level because of the really interesting connection that she has to Jolene, and her death was the well, no, Weather Reports was more tragic. I can't even lie, but her death was almost as tragic as Weather Reports, which are the I can't even say the most tragic deaths in the series because there's so many that happen. There's a lot of tragic death in JoJo's now that I'm thinking about it. Um, but FF is by far the best of the main trio. Um, and I love her stand and how like that leads into her character of trying to identify as human with their group and such. Just a fantastic character with an amazing character arc, really. Oh, Emporio. I think Emporio is a solid character, but I don't want to rank him higher than that because I feel like Emporio is a case the where Araki tried to make him seem more relevant to the plot than he actually ended up being. Um, but he was still a compelling character to me. Um, just not as good as quite a few others from part six. The the sniper dude and the cockroach guy can all go in mid. Uh, I don't really remember all the other, like which one was which on here. Was this the guy that had the Netherworld stand? I thought it was, but I'm not sure. I know that this was Jolene's cellmate with the rat stand. That was weird. Oh, actually, she was annoying bump here. Uh, I don't remember the rest of these particularly well. The Green Baby, I don't know why that's its own character. That's a bit strange. The cafeteria lady is kind of boring. And Jolene's mom is kind of mid, I guess. Okay, that's the complete tier list. I would say, yeah, I would say the ones in S tier are ordered. The other tiers are not ordered. And the S tier, I would say was at one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I want to move another one up there to sort of complete the list. You know what? Fuck it. Tonio is moving to the top. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. Um, Narancia, yeah, Narancia is the tenth character. There is my, I'd say, top 10 characters in order. For JoJo's, with my absolute favorite still easily being Kishibe Rohan because he's the fucking goat. Oh wow, 47 minutes as long as I thought. Uh, I really have to watch JoJo's. I will continue to do it because I love JoJo's and it's fun to yap about it. But yeah, for now, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.